But Bhavya, you know what? That for a student and a counselor to approach a particular university is very different because I would know how to request for any particular thing. I would know how to use a UK email, a US email, all of
And
that
also you have the contacts. I mean, kudos
Yeah.
to all the
Yeah.
in-country
I mean,
representatives who are doing a
kudos to all
decent
of you
job.
also.
for helping me out every time, but with the contacts. But I believe that the student part you're saying, following up on their application or reaching out to a representative, I think that being done in year 12, right, would only happen at the time of the chase for an offer, right, or at the time of an appeal for whatever it would be. But if that relationship, if that establishment of that relationship of that student reaching out to universities can start in year 10, where they're in our school at a fair, or all their online virtual sessions, right? And if they start then the communication with the university.
Which you bring to a very
Very
interesting
important,
point.
yeah.
I had a very
Yeah.
interesting panel discussion
Yeah.
about this last night, where the rep
Last-
of one of the top
yesterday,
2-3
this is-
universities actually told me, here we are spending time in 10th, 11th, 12th, and finally the kid does not get what their predicted is, and we have to take off their offer. It's a waste of 3 years of my time. So there are challenges on the other side too,
Yes.
and that's why it's really important. Like, so you as a counselor know this child, and this child is really great. The university rep has also stayed in touch with the child, but sometimes it just doesn't work out.
But then Zoya, see academic results, they are a separate thing, okay? Like for Cambridge we have series, and every time we have this discussion that maybe a math series and a May series result is different. So it is. And then if you begin to prepare from 10th to 12th or 9th to 12th, right, and let's say you're preparing for the Ivy or the Russell, right, if your grades are not as per the expectations, then whatever factor contributed to it, but at the end of the day, at least your profile is so strong that whatever you're applying to, you might get it.
Is that really getting you in, Costa?
Is that getting my
Is that getting you in into the colleges? Because sometimes,
No.
grade is the eligibility, but
yeah, but is that profile that you're saying, right?
yes, that profile is getting accepted at the university where you're. I mean, again, countries come into the line here. I mean, I would say UK, Europe, Australia. Yes, these profiles are accepted if you match the eligibility criteria to these particular
See,
universities.
I'll be very honest, and because we can talk about countries
Yeah.
individually, I think I had majority of students moving towards Australia this year.
Yeah.
And I saw overall shift towards Australia.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a little bit because of Canada and
Yeah.
other things. But I already had, from the last 2 years, a lot of students building up for Australia. So this year, Australian number has been very big for me, and whether it's Sydney, whether it's Melbourne, whether it's Western Australia, I have a lot of students going
Yeah.
to not just the G8, Macquarie, Deakin, all these, and they're also giving scholarships, which is very interesting for me. I love that
But
that
do you
Australia's.
think predictability is helped there, Bhavya? Like, if I have a grade in a certain profile, like for UK, a certain amount of predictability helps as opposed to maybe the US, where they're like, profile banana hai, kya banana hai, they don't know.
I absolutely, that's what I was about actually getting at.
Profile banana hai, who's telling them? Who is no, answer now, you answer, na? Who is saying profile banana? University is not saying.
I think it's started out as experiences and diversity and your ability to know yourself, because that's what the US curriculum is, high school curriculum is.
I
So it's
accept.
not profile
I am
building.
sure that जो
9th और 10th के पेरेंट्स को बच्चों को बता रहा है प्रोफाइल बनाना है. They are not using words like diversity and inclusion and all. At least I don't know anybody who would. So why don't you? Yeah, I know you want to answer. Come on.
Very controversial point, but yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying, right? Like, when the universities have certain profiles, and I've been on the other side of it looking at applications. Sometimes we're just looking at the pool that we get, and that's why you've gotten very benevolent results where really high ranking universities realize that, okay, very selective students are applying to us because they've already lost hope, we're not going to get through, so forget it. And then from that pool, you select the best, and you suddenly realize that you found your fits, but they aren't as academically high as maybe you would have had in a different pool.
Sure.
So the university reps also, kind of, the admission officers have a different thing going on completely. It depends on the pool that they're getting. Then the profile building, it's like that, then you're competing with people like who are coming from smaller towns, authentic experiences, but not the international exposure that compared to a person in a tier 1 city may be getting. So profile building is looking very different across, and how the admission officers are assessing that and then giving you the offers is like a totally different ball game altogether.
Okay, see Zoya, because you've been on the other side of the table assessing applications, right? And also to you, Upasna, because you're on the advisory board of one of the Canada universities, University of Toronto. So, uh, tell me a profile coming or a application coming. How much is the gauge on the academics and how much is the gauge on the non-academics? Like, I don't know, maybe from a counselor experience, tell me this.
See, I think from what the admission team discusses, the first focus, at least for the US, is on the common data sets, right? They've mentioned what's important for them. Is the essay more important? Is the extracurricular more important? And there are
Each
places-
university is given that data
and there are
available. It's
places that
available.
mention that my ECA is more important than my essay. Essay
Yes.
is not relevant or irrelevant or however they rank it.
Yeah.
Certain universities are very open that we really don't care that much about the grades. It's 50% of your application component. But if you're a cricketer or if you're a school leader, wow, we love that. And that's what we want on our campus. And the reps have literally have sore throats because they're screaming this at all us counselors saying, this is what we want, listen to us. If you have a 85%er and if you have a 80%er with all of this, we would love that 80% here with us.
Yeah.
So, on the admission side, it's not a standard blanket. It varies across the different coasts of the US. An East Coast would differ from a West Coast, from a UK, from an Australia, which is why it's very difficult for us as counselors to keep a tab on that.
I'll ask that to everybody. Upasna, you have anything to say?
I mean, if you're talking about Canada, then it's again they're very clear about it. They need the grades. They need the grades. It's only if you're applying for a scholarship, then they would like to see what else you have in your profile.
Or for a course where portfolio is required.
Or where, yes. But generally, it's the grades that are very clear.
And same for Australia. I think Australian system is like Indian system. I think it's very convenient, and I'm seeing that it's going to become more difficult, hopefully, in the near future. But it's very straightforward. They're not even focusing on grade 11 scores, so it's just very broadly. It's just class 10, and you're predicted. And many universities are not even taking the predicted scores. So I think it's very easy. But I feel like less preparation is going in again. I go on the college preparedness, but less preparation is going in, and Australian immigration rules keep on changing. So those things and those factors keep on changing, which makes it a little challenging for the students. So that's it.
And since you mentioned India, and I don't think so we've spoken about Indian admissions at all. Let's just cover that in a minute or so. So anybody talking about Indian admissions, how they've been?
They're really going up for us.
Yes.
I think kids have realized the value of a good degree. They're seeing that happen in the US, UK. They're seeing it across Singapore, Hong Kong, Australia. They're also seeing it.
And are these public universities or private?
Public and private. There are certain hot favorite publics that are going down because they don't have confidence in that. Oh no, not and the typical great ones are there, right? Like the LSR is there, the Stephens is there. All of those are always hot favorites. And then with the coming in of the private, like Ashoka, like Flame, Jindal.
I love the privates. I feel like Indian universities are doing a great job. We are back in that era of mentorship, student relationship with the professors. That is what is going to change the whole game.
And the opportunities, like Abhi, the pressure all about going abroad. Here they're getting that opportunity, right? You're doing co-op, you have a semester abroad. If you are really hard, and it's cost effective. Like you're getting a brilliant degree, you're getting that recognition, and at a much lower cost.
I don't know how many of you have read about this, but after NEP, I think even the public institutions have been asked to have international institution tie-ups.
Absolutely.
So they're actively working in this area, and that's going to really change.
Coming from a Cambridge school, I mean, I would like to bring this up that how Indian admissions is going up in my school in the last 2-3 years. I think it started with COVID, but probably the kids' experiences. I mean, their alma mater telling them that they're really enjoying studying in India, and it is good for them. So I'm seeing a surge in Indian applications since last 1 or 2 years.
Right, I think.
What about you?
There's a lot that I have spoken, everybody has spoken, and
But there's so much to talk about. I think, we should all.
I think we should bring in more people, either from whichever domain.
All over the place. So next time, let's just decide what we're going to talk about.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah.